welcome to Relaxation with Susie. Hope you're doing well this week. I'm pretty tired tonight. It's midweek exhaustion, I suppose. And many of us will be getting back to normal after our children have returned to school. So everything else of normal life starting to come back in a little bit. So hopefully you will enjoy tonight's class. Very relaxing, and maybe get a good night's sleep as a result tonight, hopefully. So I won't start straight away. I normally have a little bit of waffle before we begin, just to allow people to arrive, because if you're anything like me, quite often you just need an extra couple of minutes to get yourself sorted. Hopefully you've got a yoga mat or a blanket on the floor, some comfortable clothing. Tonight we're going to use a bolster or a rolled up blanket, so make yourself a sausage, and you can make that sausage of blankets as wide as you like. You could make something as thick as this. Or you could have something a little bit thinner if you find this a bit strong. I usually use blocks as well to modify my bolster. So popping something, a cushion or something under the end, just helps to raise it up gently so that your back of your neck is supported. And having something in front of that bolster if it's particularly thick. Otherwise it does feel a bit strong in the lumbar spine, and we don't want to overwork in our relaxation. We want to relax, we want this to be restful. And we really want to focus on the releasing aspect of the yoga practice. Stillness, that sort of thing. So yeah, let's make sure the room that you're in is fairly dimly lit. I've got some candles. I think it make it quite a nice sacred space for your practice. If you light a few candles, turn off the main lighting, and minimal blue screens. Obviously you're watching me on a screen, but yeah, minimise the screens and turning off any phones and things that might disturb you. Just hopefully you'll be able to get a bit of space. So as usual, now I don't have my computer, so I don't know who's here, but welcome if you've just joined. We're just about to start yoga for relaxation for 40 minutes tonight. I just realised I don't have my watch on me, so if you'll just bear with me, I'm going to go and get it so that I know how long we've been. It's always good to keep track of time. Hopefully you've got everything that you need, so you've got nice blankets, cushions, peace and quiet. And what we're going to do, what I'll do at the start of each class, is I pick out an intention for the practice tonight, but also maybe something you could take with you into the week ahead. So I've made these intention cards, and eventually I will make them available for everybody. Ooh. This one is create. I let my imagination flow. So that'll be interesting in relaxation yoga. Usually we're kind of in a meditative state, but actually often in those states of relaxation you can get flashes of inspiration. Quite often I get my best ideas when I'm meditating, and that's not a conscious practice, it just happens. So, you know, maybe even though we're relaxing and resting, we might find that our creative energy just gets a little bit of a nook to come out and play. So who knows what may emerge as we relax tonight. And we might have an amazing dream tonight when we go to bed that might inspire us. So shall we begin? I think it's time. Do say hello in the chat box. Obviously I can't see you right now, but I will check back. And I always like to see who's been around. And this will be put on our YouTube channel so that you can watch it back again if you don't make it along live tonight. So I think we'll start on our backs to begin with, over the bolster, and just making sure you've got a little bit of room overhead so that you can bring the arms overhead. I mean, I have a sofa in the way, so I will modify my poses. You may have the same issue, so don't worry. And we're just going to come down over that bolster. Hopefully everyone managed to get set up okay. If you don't have a bolster, don't worry, you can just lay flat on the floor. That's absolutely fine. And we're just going to let the feet drop out to the side. And we're allowing the shoulders to soften. And something I always like to do is just to scoop the back of the head into the hands, just gently lifting the head, elongating the back of the neck, and then gently placing it back down on the support, and then bringing the hands down now, just a little way away from the sides of the body so they feel comfortable. And we're just going to allow ourselves to arrive here in our yoga practice. And we're going to start to let go of the day. So whatever kind of day you've had today, just seeing if you can bring your attention and your awareness to your breath as you follow the inhale and the exhale. And we're going to try and just put aside any preoccupations that we might have with things that have happened today, the plans that we might be making, and just be here. So we're going to take 3 deep inhales and exhales, and as we exhale, we're going to purse the lips very gently as if we're blowing through a straw, and we're going to exhale long and slow through the lips. So just as an example, inhaling fully, exhaling through the pursed lips. And what this does is it just allows the exhale to be a little longer and a little more controlled. So just doing that 3 times. To the rhythm of your own breath. So just your own rhythm, not worrying about what I'm doing. And when you've done, just see how that feels in the body. See if you're feeling a little bit more soft, if the body's able to drop down a little bit more into the support. And maybe you're a little bit more connected with the inhale and the exhale. Now we're going to bring the soles of the feet together if that's appropriate for you, if that's not too painful on the hips. If that's a bit strong for your hips, you can bring the knees together and the feet spread wide apart so that they're just resting together. So I'm coming with my feet in Konasana or butterfly pose. So now we've got a gentle opening in the hips, and we're going to mirror this with our arms. So we're going to take the hands behind the head, just interlocking the fingers. And equally again, if this feels a bit strong on the shoulders, you could try just catching hold of the elbows and drawing the arms back overhead. Or you can rest the arms out to the sides of the body so that they're a little way away, so you're still getting that stretch through the armpit chest, but they're not straining and it's not uncomfortable. So whichever version you're doing, just allowing the knees and the arms just to drop down. And maybe we're conscious of that gentle stretch in the abdomen. And we're going to go again with those 3 breaths, blowing out through the lips gently, exhaling gently. Twice more. And as you're exhaling, you might like to visualise yourself breathing out anything that you no longer need today. And then we'll change the cross either of the fingers, or if you've caught hold of the elbows, change the cross of the elbows. Just once again repeating those 3 breaths. Inhaling nice and deeply. And we're not straining here. Just nice soft inhales and exhales, not overworking. Following your own rhythm. Everybody's lung capacity is different. And then we'll release the hands now from behind the head, bringing the knees back in. And we'll just gently roll to the right to take out the bolster. Whoopsie daisy. Just pop that to one side, out of the way. Pop your bolster to one side and any other equipment. And just coming back down onto the floor now, in contact with the floor, nice and grounded. Settling yourself, settling the back down. And we're just going to catch hold of this back of this leg, and we're going to take some gentle circles with the ankles. Just easing out through the ankle joint, those feet that just bear us around all day. Just take a moment of gratitude for the feet and all the hard work that they do, changing sides. Circling one way and then the other way. Listening to any little clicks and clonks. Good. And then we'll bring in the right knee, and we can catch again either behind the back of the knee, or we can catch around the shin, and we'll just draw that knee down now, and we'll extend the left leg out along the floor. So we're gently working into that leg. It's not strong movement. Easing into the hip, and then we can take this right hand onto the right knee, and we'll just make some circles just to start to release the hips. Circling out, and remembering to also draw the knee across the body as well as out to the side, so that we're fully using all of the range of motion in that joint. And then we reverse that circle back the other way. And the circles might be very small. If your range of motion is quite small in your hips, the circles will be small, and that's fine. If you've got a larger range of motion, you might be able to make more generous circles. It really doesn't matter as long as we are easing into that joint. And then we'll squeeze in with that knee. And if it feels good to lift the head and stretch out along the spine, you can do that. Bringing the head back down, and then we'll change sides. So we'll draw this left knee in now, again catching either behind the knee or on the shin Squeezing it down, and then we'll extend that right leg out along the floor. Squeezing in. And then taking the left hand to the left knee and making circles on this side. And we're just starting to release those hips. And there is a school of thought that thinks that most of our emotions are held in our hips. We get trapped there. So just by keeping our flexibility, keeping our joints moving and releasing whatever you believe is a good thing. Excellent. Just bringing that knee in now for a squeeze. Lift the head up if that feels good. If it's too much on the neck, just keep the head down on the floor. And then bringing the knees up to semi-supine, so the soles of the feet are on the floor. And then we'll take the arms wide and we're just working up the body now. So the feet are hip distance apart, and all we're doing is we're just dropping the knees from side to side, working into the hips and the abdomen and the lumbar spine, and also starting to engage the middle back, the thoracic spine. And as we again move into this, we might find as we drop the knees that each time, each side, we can drop the knees a little more and a little more as we release and let go. And then what we might do is just drop the knees over to the right and turn the head to look down the left arm. And the arms are out in line with the shoulders here. And we can just gently breathe here. We can use the breath to release. So on the inhale we expand, and on the exhale we let go. So just observing that practice happening in our own body. And then we bring the knees back to centre and we drop them over now to the left, looking down the right arm. Softening the shoulders, keeping both shoulders grounded here. Seeing if we can let go on the exhale. Staying really connected with the breath. And then bringing the knees back to centre. And we can gently roll to the right to come up to sitting. And having something to sit on. So the regulars will know that I use a block, a yoga block, for my seated positions. And in for relaxation, I quite like to add another layer to that. So I'm going to pop a blanket on top. You could use another yoga block or just make a pile of cushions. As long as you feel comfortable and you feel stable, that you're not going to wobble off. And if it's comfortable, coming into a cross-legged position. So you could sit in Sukhasana, which is the cross-legged pose. If you're more used to yoga and you're quite open in the hips, you might try Siddhasana, so with the heels lined up. And if neither of those feels good on your hips, then you can just have the legs extended out in front of you and have them about hip width apart so that they can relax. So whichever version you're going for, just sitting up nice and tall. And we're going to just roll our shoulders. So easing into the shoulders, and oh my goodness, if you've been working on the computer today, this is going to be so much needed. Actually, even if you haven't, quite often most of our tension, or a lot of our tension, will go into those shoulders. So we're just going to start to allow them to let go now. And we'll roll the shoulders the other way, so bringing them back and forwards. And I always like to have the arms and the hands lifted a bit so that you're not so restricted in that movement. And then coming back to roll the shoulders back and down. Once again, lifting up now. So we're getting a bit of space in the spine. The body is dropping down through the sitting bones. So we need to be aware of the base of the body in contact with the floor, but also aware of the crown of the head rising up to the sky. And in between is the spine and the energy lines, the nadis. And we're just getting a lovely stretch just by sitting here. It can feel quite passive, but it's so good for you. Inhale the arms up, lifting up, looking up between the hands. Exhale the chin down, keeping the arms lifted. Inhaling, breathing into the side ribs, expanding, exhaling. We can have a little wiggle around in this if we want to, just to ease in. And then we can exhale the arms down. And we'll bring the hands down behind so that we can release the legs if we've been sitting cross-legged. Leaning back into the hands, just gently now, lifting the heart. So we're not going into any major back bends because it's a relaxation class, but we're just opening up across the collarbones, keeping the chin tucked in, but the chest is lifted. Breathe into that, some nice deeper inhales and exhales. Good, and then we'll change the cross of the legs. So now the left leg is in front, generally speaking. Once again, lifting up, and this time we'll take a couple of twists. So we're going to turn to the right, so that left hand comes across the right knee, and the other hand comes around behind. And we don't go mad, we're not really jamming ourselves around here. What we're focusing on is lifting up first. So lifting up through the crown of the head, rolling the shoulders back and down, and then from there we can take a little bit more of a twist to look over that right shoulder. And we breathe and we start to feel the upper back engaging. Maybe we're tucking in that right shoulder blade a little more. And then we bring the body back to centre and we go the other way. So turning now to the left, the right hand comes onto the left knee, left hand behind. Once again, get your extension. Inhale, lift up, feel the crown of the head rising up. And then from that lovely extension, we turn and we look over the right shoulder, the left shoulder. Breathe, using the breath, tucking that left shoulder blade in a little, breathing into that sense of restriction just to create more space. Almost like you're wringing out a piece of cloth. And then coming back to centre, releasing the legs once again. Let's take the legs a little wider. And we're just going to do a few cauldron stirs. And we're just leaning back, leaning forwards. And again, these circles, we've got very tight hamstrings and muscles, will be very small. You can still stretch the arms. But what you might find with each rotation, that the legs start to release a little bit more each time. And they start to trust that you're not overworking. And that is one important thing, that actually if you push the body and you overwork, you're betraying that body a little bit. And it won't trust you, it won't release, it won't relax. And then coming back the other way. So you need to allow your body to trust that you are going to keep it safe. So just easing in, noticing how this is feeling, any sensations that you can tune into, and then we're going to stay forwards. I've started to fall off my support a little bit. Staying forwards, just resting the hands on the floor, and we just soften. So we walk the hands forward and forward till we get to a point where we think, yeah, I'm done. And then we can just take the head down. So for some people, they're going to get quite far forwards before they relax. Quite nice if you can get your forearms to the floor. For some people, that's just not going to be possible. So wherever you are, just dropping the weight of the head so the back of the neck can be soft. Still gently working into the backs of the legs so the toes are drawing up towards the face, but it's not an aggressive movement. And then from there we'll just roll up, coming back into cross legs, and we'll take some gentle stretches through the side of the body now, some lateral stretches. And we can do this one with the breath. So inhaling, exhaling the arms over, inhale back to centre, exhaling the arm to the other side. And again, these movements, depending on your range of motion, might be quite small or they might be quite generous. So just allowing the body and the breath to work together. Never be afraid to let your breath be heard. With our exhale, we're exhaling 70% of our toxins. So if we're being a bit apologetic about our breath and we're not breathing properly, we're not doing ourselves any favours. Be proud of your breath. Good, and then we'll come back to centre. We'll change the cross of the legs. And this time we're just going to stretch gently through the neck. So just releasing down now. So we lift the heart as we were doing before, lifting up in our cross-leg position, whichever we're in. But the chest is lifting, the shoulder blades are drawing in, but then we bring our chin down towards the chest. So we're not sagging like this, we're not dropping the shoulders, we're still lifted, but we're really extending through the neck. And then we're just going to roll the head very gently and carefully around to the left, holding the head over to the side. If that feels comfortable, it can be quite strong. Drawing that right shoulder down. And if we want to, we can take this hand onto the head just to draw it down. And we breathe. See if you can release the belly. See if there's any bits of your body that have started gripping. Let those go if you can. And then we release the head. We bring the head back down, keeping the chest lifted and rolling it round now to the left. Stretching down the side of the neck, drawing down with the shoulder, and if it feels appropriate, just placing the hand on the head as a little extra weight to deepen that stretch down that great big muscle down the side of the neck. Soften the body, soften the face, releasing any tension. Good, and then bringing the head back to centre, lifting up. Good. And then we'll release the legs again and coming off our support, just coming onto all fours. And actually what we can do, if you've still got your rolled up blanket or a couple of cushions is just bring the hands onto the bolster, and you're just allowing now the chest to sink down. So you can have a little bit of an opening with the knees, or you can have the knees together. For some people, they like the feeling of the body on the legs in child pose. For some other people, they like, especially if you've got big boobs, you can just allow the body to drop down between the legs and bring the hands onto the bolster, bringing the head so that the ears are in line with the arms, and just breathing here. Gently opening down the sides of the body into the hips. Releasing down, and then from there we just push the bolster. In fact, we can either bring the bolster in between the legs, and then we can rest down on that bolster, or if you don't have enough of a height, you can just come into ordinary child pose, restful child pose with your head down. So either way, you're resting forwards with the body able to release all the way down. And if you're on the bolster, you will need to turn your head the other way as well, so that you get an even stretch. But whatever you're doing, just noticing how it feels to just allow everything to let go. Allowing the breath to be soft. And as the breath softens and slows, you might find that the mind follows suit. You find that the rest of the body follows suit. So if you've got your head to one side, just turning it now so that you can stretch down the other side of the neck. And if you're in child pose, just still enjoying that sensation of letting go into the floor. Curled up, there's a sense of security as the shoulders drop down like a cloak. Good. And then very carefully just coming up from there and noticing if there's a softness that's come into the face and the eyes. And we're just going to come back very briefly to our seated position. And we're going to do a little pranayama before we come down into Shavasana, into relaxation. So we're going to do the alternate nostril breath. Now this works very well if you don't have blocked up nose. If your nose is blocked, you can do the yogic breath. So I'll describe the yogic breath first, and then for those of us who'd like to try the alternate nostril breath, we can do that afterwards. If we all do the yogic breath together, bringing the hand onto the heart and the belly, doesn't really matter which, and we'll just close the eyes. Hopefully we're sitting in a comfortable position. And what we're doing is we're just taking a full inhale and observing the movement of the hands, observing the breath moving the hands in the body. And the yogic breath starts in the belly. So the first thing you'll feel is the hand resting on the belly move away as the belly expands, and then eventually the chest as the breath moves up the body through the navel, to the chest, you'll feel the upper hand rise as well. And then you'll feel it in reverse on the way down. So as you exhale, the upper hand comes in, followed by the hand on the belly. And we can use those hands as a guide for us to increase the breath. So we're not forcing the breath, we're not making this a strenuous activity. But really we're just observing and deepening the breath a little. Now if we want to do the alternate nostril breathing, we can now drop the hands onto the knees, taking the left hand onto the face. Gently with the thumb and the ring finger just resting them on the either side of the nostrils, and the middle fingers, the forefinger and the middle finger, resting on the third eye chakra, and the baby finger just sort of hangs around where it wants to. And very gently we close off the left nostril with the thumb, and we inhale through the right. Closing the right nostril, opening the left, exhale left. Inhale left. Close the left, opening the right, exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right, open the left, exhale left. Inhale left. Close the left, open the right, exhale right. Inhale right. Close the right, open the left, exhale left. And we'll just keep going with this pattern to our own rhythm, because the only problem with me leading is that I'm leading with my own breath rhythm, and yours may be very different. So just finding your own pattern with this alternate nostril breath. Noticing whether or not one side is a little more open than the other. So one nostril might be a little bit more blocked. If it's only a little bit blocked, you can persevere. The inhale will be slower and the exhale will be slower on that side. But you may find that it will start to even itself out. And the idea is that this just starts to balance out the breath, which in turn balances out the mind and the body. And if there's a feeling of tension creeping in, just to drop the practice and allow yourself to return to the yogic breath. We'll do a couple more rounds on each side. Whenever you've finished your rounds, just allowing the breath to return to normal, just dropping any effort, allowing the breath to be its normal self. Good. And we might decide we want to keep the eyes closed, or just keeping the eyes down so that the energy is still relaxed. We can come down now onto our backs to rest in Shavasana, and you can have whatever you need for that. Make sure that you're warm, make sure that you've got your feet, got some socks on, warm feet. You can come and rest back over the bolster again if you like, or just come down flat on your back, which is the traditional Shavasana position. If your lower back is a bit niggly, you might want to put the rolled up blanket or bolster under your knees, which just eases out the lumbar spine a little. I'm going to stay seated as I guide you through the Shavasana. And at the end of the practice, I'll ring the singing bowl 3 times just to let you know that I'm going. I'll probably very quietly say goodbye. And then you can choose to either stay where you are and rest a little longer, or come out of your practice and get on with your evening, or go to bed, or whatever it is that you're going to do later. So hopefully now everyone's settled down into Shavasana, laying on your back with whatever support. You may need some support under your head. And the eyes are gently closed. The feet are dropping out to the sides. Backs of the hands are resting on the floor, palms facing upwards so that the shoulders can gently open. And we're just allowing the body now to release down into the earth. And we can use the breath to help us do that. As we inhale, expanding, and as we exhale, releasing and letting go. Each exhale, we release a little more. All the muscles are soft. There's no need to hold on now. We can let go, and we are fully supported by the earth beneath us. And we're just going to stay here now for a couple of minutes in stillness, in Shavasana. Namaste.